Brought to you by JMR Rentals, professional digital cinema and broadcast equipment rentals in Brooklyn, New York. JMRNY.com. Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend. I'm Jason Godbey, and in October, Hulu is streaming their Bite Size Halloween series, which features 20 new shorts from up-and-coming filmmakers. The films will be a blend of genres that depict topical issues such as racism, gender, parenthood, sexuality, and identity, and features stars like Tatiana Maslany, Brendan Hines, Bridget Lundy Payne, and Kate Nash. One of the films featured in the bite-sized series is Sleep Study, a short about a new mother who is dealing with some serious night terrors whenever she tries to sleep. It stars Olivia Grace Applegate and Kevin Shigaris. I caught up with the film's director, Natalie Metzger. And joining me now, the director of Sleep Study, Natalie Metzger. Welcome, Natalie.
Thank you so much.
Hey, it's great to have you. Thank you for having me as part of your junket. I love doing these things. I'm sure you do too. It's sort of like rapid fire. It's like speed dating.
Very much so, yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk to you about the film, but first I want to talk a little bit about kind of you. So how did you get started in filmmaking?
So I kind of fell into film. My background is in theater and dance, and I have a master's in choreography, and I was studying at CalArts for that master's. And it was while I was doing that I was getting frustrated with the limitations of live theater, the limitations of geography and time. And so I started filming my choreography, filming my dance films. And that kind of quickly became into an obsession where then I kind of jumped into music videos and commercials and kind of started trying to be on as many sets as possible, learning as much as I could. And from there, I ended up producing a lot, and I produced a lot of friends' shorts, and then ended up getting hired for features and series, and was continuing to direct my dance work and my own stuff. But yeah, I just kind of like fell into it, and started in documentaries with my own work, and then made a sci-fi short a couple years ago, and now doing a foray into horror.
Yeah, this is no documentary, this little film. It's a great little film, by the way. I enjoyed it a lot. I wanted to talk to you because I thought it was like one of the most fun, and I think kind of the world needs that right now. So much of what we see every day is a horror show in real life, so it's nice to see something that's kind of fun and I won't say too much about it, but what kind of was the inspiration behind it, and how did you get hooked up with 20th Digital and Hulu?
So I had made a sci-fi short called Immortal a couple years ago that 20 Digital saw and reached out to me and said, "Hey, we loved this. Do you have anything in the horror space?" And it was around that same time that I'm a huge science nerd, so I just read lots of nonfiction. And I was reading these books about the neuroscience of the brain, and specifically about sleep disorders and sleep deprivation and all of these kind of ways in which the brain dysfunctions, which is like, to me, some of the most terrifying things of like the things that your brain can convince you of. And my partner suffers from sleep terrors and sleep paralysis. And so, yeah, it kind of all came together. And I was like, what would be the thing that's actually scariest for me, like in my present moment? And this kind of formed.
What do you want audiences to walk away with for this type of film? I mean, is it as simple as, get a sleep study sooner or later, sooner rather than later? Or is there more to it than that?
Well, I do think everyone is a little bit sleep deprived right now in the 21st century. And so I do encourage everyone to get more sleep. It is amazing, like the ramifications and impairment that comes from regular sleep deprivation. But beyond that, I think like some of the things that I was thinking about are the kind of struggles of a new mother, and specifically kind of expectations of, now you're, you can have a full career and be a mom, which is amazing, and yay feminism. But at the same time, there's also this like pressure of then of like, okay, having the perfect career as well as being the perfect mom. And, the kind of pressures you put on yourself, and how, if you are in an impaired state, in a sleep deprived state, how that might heighten any kind of underlying conditions or concerns. So yeah, those are just some of the ideas I was thinking about.
One of the things I thought about the film was interesting is like you have this sort of like idyllic setting, like this idyllic family, and they've got a nice house, and that is just that's the setup for so many horror films. It's the idyllic family. The only thing that could have made it more so is like you said, like the 1950s or something like that. Yeah. When you cast these people, were they sort of cast because of that? Like they had this sort of idyllic look in this, what could possibly go wrong type thing.
Yeah, I mean, so both Olivia Applegate and Kevin Shingaris are amazing actors, and I've worked with both of them before. They were actually both in a film that I produced called The Beta Test, but they were never in scenes together, so they didn't actually know each other super well. They just knew kind of each other. But I wrote the role of Brian kind of for Kevin, like kind of have like keeping him in mind, and then the role of Sarah, I think, has a lot of me in it, like this kind of, striving for, perfection and doing it all and not taking a break. But I think she kind of just turned into this like thing in and of herself. And, Olivia actually lives in Austin. And so I wasn't sure she was going to be able to do it. And so I was like, auditioning lots of people and getting lots of self-tapes. And when I saw her self-tape, I was like, oh my gosh, she has to play this role. And it's a very different role for her than some of the stuff that she's done before. And so it was really fun to see her kind of dig into it.
One of the reasons I want to talk to you, one of the things I think is great about what 20th Digital is doing is they're, getting these up and coming filmmakers, and you get to see work from filmmakers you don't normally see and actors that, you maybe haven't seen before. What does this opportunity mean for you? What does it mean for the film and the people in it?
I mean, it's a huge honor to be part of Bite Size Halloween and just this entire program that 20th Digital is doing. The fact that they are, supporting diverse filmmakers, underrepresented filmmakers, and allowing, there's really not these kind of incubators that exist anymore to test out, a short film. And then the fact that they're developing them into feature films is such a huge, cool thing that I think is like the way that we find new talent. And so I think it's really exciting, and I feel really honored just to be in this group, and just watching the other shorts is just they're also so impressive. So it's really just great.
Is there any sort of a plan for a feature to come from this, or do you want to continue to work in this genre since it's kind of your first foray into horror?
In my ideal world, I would be, producing half the time and then directing half the time. I love doing both, but yeah, there's definitely a feature version of Sleep Study in my head that I want to flesh out at some point. And I also, I have such a love for sci-fi that I also have a sci-fi feature that I'm working on getting up and running. But yeah, I mean, like, I had so much fun making Sleep Study, and I definitely feel like diving into more horror elements is definitely going to be fun, but also going to my roots of like science fiction and, science-based stuff too. So yeah, I feel like I kind of want to do a lot of it.
Ultimately, with this film, hopefully it means exposure for you guys. Maybe it'll spread to other forms of streaming where they try to get, because there's a bunch of short films and stuff on Amazon, but they're not really featured. They're just kind of there, and you have to find them in this sea of other movies. So hopefully people get selected. Before we go though, what is your favorite kind of type of horror film, and what's your favorite part about this time of year?
So a lot of the horror that I love is like science-based, or like, it's grounded. Like, to me, those are the most terrifying things, the things that can actually, happen to you in real life. But, some of my favorites are let's see. I love Black Swan, obviously my dance background. 28 Days Later, Midsommar, Take Shelter, Alien. I don't know, these things that are like real life people, like dealing with things that we're they're like put into these extraordinary situations, but a lot of it, especially like Take Shelter, is like, you know, you're just not sure if it's your own brain turning against you or if it's something else. And I love those kind of questioning, like, psychological things.
This might be a feature. Do you have anything like in the works that's coming out that people should look for?
So I'm actually start shooting a new documentary tomorrow about life extension. Yeah, it's that should be an interesting and fascinating dive that I'm super excited to start interviewing all these different scientists about. But yeah, so that'll be coming out at some point, I think next year. And then, yeah, my feature script Immortal, we're working on getting up and running as well. But then also on the producing side, I have a horror feature, Spoonful of Sugar, that I just produced that premiered at Fantastic Fest last week and will be coming out on Shudder in March. And then a documentary about Yogi Berra that I produced called It Ain't Over that will be being released by Sony Pictures Classics in spring of next year as well.
For people who want to like follow you or know more about your projects, where can they find you on the web?
On Instagram, I'm at Natalie Metzger, and my website is nataliemetz.com.
And that's all we got for you today. Thanks so much for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more of our content, including our movie reviews, visit our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube, youtube.com/getbehindtherabbit. Once again, I'd like to thank my guest, Natalie Metzger, and our sponsor, JMR Rentals, for Behind the Rabbit Productions. I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.